All right, welcome back. Today, we're diving into the psychology of a really specific and honestly often misunderstood type of person. I'm talking about someone who has just been through too much. It's a profile that's built on this incredible resilience, a lot of paradox, and a really unique kind of wisdom. So, let's get into it.
I bet you know exactly who I'm talking about. That one person who seems to laugh at everything. You know, the situations that would send most of us into a total spiral. They just chuckle. They're the one who gets cut off in traffic, and instead of getting mad, they kind of just wonder aloud, huh, maybe that guy's just having a really, really bad day. And see, that's the whole point. It's not about them being detached or flippant or anything like that. It's actually a sign. It's a sign they've navigated their own major storms. So, other people's little rain showers, they just don't feel the same. Their behavior is like a map of where they've been. And that's exactly what we're going to explore today. So, here's our game plan. We're going to start with how their brains are literally rewired for survival. Then we'll look at the survivor's toolkit they build up. After that, we'll get into their empathy superpower, which is amazing. Then, the walking paradox they become. And we'll wrap it all up with something called the lighthouse effect. All right, first up, rewired for survival. And this is really the foundational idea for everything we're about to discuss. It's so important to get this right. We're not talking about something being wrong with them. Not at all. We're talking about a brain that's been expertly, and I mean expertly, trained by sheer necessity. And that quote says it all, doesn't it? It's not a defect, it's an adaptation. Their brain has become this survival masterpiece. It's always on, constantly scanning, predicting, processing everything through this lens of hard-won experience. And here's the kicker. Even when the original threat is long gone, that training, it sticks around. So all this rewiring, it leads to what you could call the survivor's toolkit. And let's be super clear. These are not just cute personality quirks. Nope. These are highly practical, life-saving skills that were forged under some pretty intense pressure. So what's actually in this toolkit? Well, you've got things like hyper-vigilance, a sort of immunity to life's everyday chaos. That dark humor we talked about being used as armor, some exceptional adaptability, and yeah, a real tendency to downplay their own experiences. Let's dig into a couple of these. I mean, have you ever been out to eat with someone who absolutely has to sit facing the door? That is a textbook example of hypervigilance. Their internal threat detection system just never really powers down. It's not paranoia, not in the way we usually think of it. It's a nervous system that learned, probably the hard way, that safety isn't a given. So it just stays ready, always. And then there's that humor. It becomes a kind of armor. We're talking about dark humor specifically. And again, this isn't about being insensitive. It's a strategy. It's a way to take power back from the pain. Think about it. When you can laugh at the absolute absurdity of something you went through, it can't hold on to you as tightly. Every single one of those jokes is like a tiny act of rebellion. Okay, so you'd think, right, that someone who's been through so much would end up all cynical and closed off. But what's so wild is that a lot of the time, the exact opposite happens. They end up developing what is basically an empathy superpower. They don't just bounce back from stuff, they bounce forward. They become what some people call aggressively empathetic. They can spot someone else's pain from a mile away, and it's because they are completely fluent in the language of hurt. That tiny shift in your tone of voice, that smile that doesn't quite reach your eyes, oh yeah, they see it all, because they have felt it all. And you know what? There's actually a psychological term for this. It's called post-traumatic growth. And the idea is pretty profound. It's that after going through some really challenging stuff, people can experience these huge positive changes. Like their relationships get deeper, their priorities get crystal clear, and their appreciation for just a normal, quiet moment can become incredibly intense. And get this isn't some super rare thing. Research actually shows that somewhere between half and 2/3 of trauma survivors report experiencing this exact kind of growth. It's an incredible testament to the human spirit, isn't it? The capacity not just to heal, but to actually find new meaning and strength on the other side of all that pain. Okay, this next part is maybe the most complex piece of the puzzle. We're calling it a walking paradox. Because these individuals, they learn to hold two totally opposite truths in their head at the exact same time. And to the outside world, that can be, well, pretty confusing. Let's take relationships, for example. On one hand, they can be the most fiercely loyal people you will ever meet. The kind of person who will show up for you at 3 in the morning, no questions asked. But on the other hand, they can be so distant. They're terrified of depending on anyone because their experience has taught them that sometimes connection comes with a really high price.
And you see the same exact paradox with their sense of control. They might obsess over tiny, tiny details, like which specific coffee mug they're going to use. But then, when it comes to massive life uncertainties, like their job or their future, they're weirdly zen about it. And why is that? It's because they've learned a fundamental lesson. The big stuff is usually out of your control anyway. But the little stuff, the coffee mug, that they can control. And that right there is the core of their wisdom. They get, on a level that most of us don't, that life isn't just one thing. It's both. It's beautiful and it's brutal. It's hopeful and it's realistic. It can be tender and tough all at the same time, maybe even in the same breath. The contradiction, that's the whole point.
Which brings us to our final big idea for today, the lighthouse effect. This is where we're going to tie all of this together, the grief that lies underneath and the profound wisdom that grows right out of it.
Because here's the part that rarely, if ever, gets talked about. Underneath all that strength and resilience, there's often this deep, deep grief. And it's not for another person they lost. It's for the version of themselves they lost. The one who trusted easily. The one who didn't feel the need to scan every room. The one that just felt light.
I mean, how do you even begin to tell someone that you're homesick for a person you used to be? For a place that only ever existed inside your own mind? That's the quiet, complex grief they carry. It's like a homesickness for a kind of softness they didn't get to keep. But that grief, it doesn't break them. It forges them. And this is where the transformation is just incredible. Their survival, it becomes insight. Their pain gets metabolized and turns into this incredible compassion. And then without even realizing it, they become something really rare. They become a lighthouse.
And this is such a critical point. A lighthouse doesn't shine because it's perfect and new. It shines because it remembers the darkness. Its light is so valuable precisely because it has been through the storms. Its wisdom isn't from a book, it's earned.
So let's do a quick recap. The big takeaways here are: their brain isn't broken, it's rewired. Those coping mechanisms we see are actually hard-won survival skills. We know that real hardship can lead to what's called post-traumatic growth. Their strength is often found in holding paradoxes. And finally, their wisdom comes directly from having navigated the darkness.
And that just leaves us with one final thought to take with you. The next time you meet someone like this, that person who laughs a little too loudly or seems weirdly calm in the middle of chaos, what are you going to see? Are you going to see their quirks? Or are you going to see the lighthouse? Will you see their wisdom?